Hi, I'm Mike Bellevue, and today we're going to take a look at the Star Super B in 9mm. This is a gun I really like, but I've got to say, from the moment I got it, I've been unhappy with the grips on it. And I've tried a number of different grips, and I think now I've got a set fitted up that works well. And I'm going to take you through the procedures for taking care of that. So, as I said, I was liking this gun a lot, but I really didn't like the grips that came on it. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. First, we'll just show you the gun is clear. Okay, so these are the grips. Well, it's got one of those magazine safeties. Put the magazine in to drop the hammer. All right, these are the grips that came on it, and they're pretty cheesy plastic. But I probably could have lived with that. I've put up with a lot of cheesy grips in my time. But when I took them off, I could not get them back on. And the reason for that, and I don't know if you can see it, but the actual grip holes, or screw holes in the grip, don't line up with the holes in the frame. So there's a lot of metal that you're hitting there. I don't know how they got these things on originally, but I couldn't get them on without severely damaging the screws. So what I did is I went on the internet looking for grips for the Super B, and they are not easily found, or at least they were not a few years ago when I was looking. Now these days you can go to Midway USA, and Vintage Grips has a set of black polymer grips like this, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know how well they're going to fit, even though Vintage Grips are good. What I'm suspecting is that there's a lot of variability in the positioning of these screw holes over time in these guns. But what I did instead is I went to Robertson's Trading Post, and they had these ebony wood grips for the Super B, and though they didn't exactly fit, I was able to drill them out and make them work. And for several years, I had these on the gun. Now, what I don't like about these is they're kind of crude. And we'll see how well I can show this on camera. But the checkering is not that well done. Ebony, though it can be an attractive wood, this has a very dull matte finish. And ebony tends to splinter easily. So some of it's really good and some of it's kind of splintery, and this stuff's a little bit splintery. So I wasn't happy with the overall look of these things, but I kind of put up with it until I found on the internet a group called Tombstone Gun Grips. And they sell polymer grips for a variety of guns, but they sell them for the Super. Now, they will ask you to measure the position of your screw holes, send them a tracing of your grip as a template, and maybe they generally do that pretty well. For mine, what I got were grips that did not line up, once again. But I like the grips overall, and there was a fairly easy fix on this. And that's what I'm going to show you. So, this grip I've already fitted. And we'll just, I'm just going to pull the screws off and put that grip on and show it to you. Alright, so here is the Tombstone Gun Grips. And you can see this one's lining up just fine now, but it didn't to start with. And that was a problem. And I think you can see this a little bit lighter colored material here. That's where the original screw hole was placed. It was that much higher up, so there was no way I could get a screw in. However, what I did is I plugged that hole and drilled a new screw hole. So in this case, let me just screw that in. Not easy to do when you're looking through the viewfinder. There we go. Get that screwed in, get that tightened down. Alright, so this is what the Tombstone gun grips look like when they're fitted on. And in this case, the top screw hole, the top of the grip, was positioned pretty well. So I decided to plug and redo the bottom screw hole. Now I haven't done this one yet, but this was just the opposite. When I used the existing top screw hole, it pushed my grip well below the lip of the magazine well. Not good. So I decided to use the existing bottom screw hole and to remake the top one. And I haven't drilled this out yet. I'll show you how I do that in a minute. What I used to fill it is this product called PC7. And basically, this is a two-part epoxy, and it comes in these 35mm film cans, which probably a lot of our younger viewers don't even know what 35mm film is, because everything is digital. But it's got a hardener and an epoxy resin, and you mix them up 50-50, and then it cures up. So it's not quite black, but I'm not going to have very much showing on here. So I'm just going to drill out this new hole, and then I'm going to polish out the grips. As you can see, I think, here in the video, these come needing a polish. And in fact, the instructions when you get them tell you need to sand them down with 300 to 400 grit sandpaper and then buff them out. So first I'm going to fit it, and then we're going to take care of putting a polish on them. So the way I'm going to do this is I've got the lower screw installed to use as a guide for lining this up. I'm going to take a 3/32 drill, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill straight through here. So I'm going to line up using the two screw holes that I've already got in the grip frame, and we're going to go. And you can see exactly, let me get this over here, you can see how far off we are. So now what I've got to do is just open that up for the screw head. Here's where things get a little bit trickier than I would like them to be. This probably won't show up very well, but what I'm going to do is I've put the screw head in here, and I traced around it with an X-Acto knife, because I don't have the right kind of drill bit for cutting the screw head hole with a nice flat bottom. And if I just use, say, one of these, I'm going to end up going too deep before I've got the shoulders cut square. So what I'm going to do is a little more dangerous in terms of wrecking the job, but I'm going to use this high-speed cutting head on a Dremel type tool. This is actually a Milwaukee tool, and I'm going to basically cut out that screw head. Here it goes. Alright, now let's see how I'm doing. I'm going to be off by a little bit, I know, but see if I'm getting that in, and I am. Now I need to just kind of flatten that out a bit. Alright, we've got the screw hole done. Everything is filled in. Now before I start sanding them, I want to provide a little protection to these silver medallions, which are not very thickly plated. So I'm just taking some painter's tape, putting it over the medallion, and then cutting it with an X-Acto knife. And if I've done this well enough, everything should peel off and just leave the medallion covered. And there we go. So that's not going to provide a lot of protection, but it'll keep me from really whacking the heck out of it when I sand it. So I'm going to do this one, and then we'll start sanding. Well, I polished the grips up. I've been polishing them for a while, and they certainly look better than they did, but they really don't look great. So I'm going to take the last recommended step. I've never done this with any grips I've fitted before, but the Tombstone Grip people recommend for black grips, and these come in a variety of colors. I think the most popular ones are probably the faux ivory white ones, but for black grips they recommend going over them in black shoe polish. And that's what I'm going to do, because I gotta say they do look kind of dull. So I'm just going to get some of this on here, and I am going to go over this, and we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. Now what I'm using here is flax fibers, tow it's called, and I'm just going to buff them down, let that polish warm up from being worked, and get into the grips. Hopefully seal into the pores. I'll just buff that right out. Okay. Well, you know what? That's not looking too bad. So I'm going to buff these out for a little while, do the second one, and then we'll remount them. Well, I don't think I would have come up with it on my own, but those Tombstone Grips guys seemed to know what they were doing. That shoe polish trick worked nice. It actually makes it look like well-finished ebony, better than the real ebony grips. So I'm pretty pleased. This will do, and they have very good hand feel as well. So now I've got some decent looking grips on a decent shooting gun, and maybe we'll just go out and do a little plinking with it.